This is the IELTS Listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1.
You will hear a woman inquiring about swimming classes for her baby.
First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10.
Hello, Dolphin babies. How may I help?
Oh, hello. I'm ringing about swimming lessons for my baby. My friend gave me your number and, I'd like to know a bit more about the classes.
Sure, no problem. We have classes for babies from 8 weeks to 18 months. After that, they move into our toddler class until they're 6 years old or have passed all 6 of our levels, whichever comes first. Can I take your baby's name?
Cara Atkins.
Can you spell that for me, please?
Yes, her first name is Cara. That's C-A-R-A. And the surname is Atkins. A-T-K-I-N-S.
Thanks. And how old is Cara?
18 weeks.
Sorry, did you say 18 months?
No, I said 18 weeks, so that's about 4 months.
Perfect. And can I take an address and phone number, please?
Yes, it's 25 Bishops Road, and my mobile is 07882 690 147.
Thanks. Now, what sort of day and time were you thinking of for Cara's classes? We have morning and afternoon classes from Monday to Saturday. What would suit you best?
Let me see. I hadn't thought that far ahead. I have to drop my son at school at 9 and pick him up at 3, so between those times would be best. What time are the morning classes?
They're at 10 or 11:30. But I need to check when we have vacancies. Just a minute. OK, I can offer you a place on Tuesdays. No, Wednesdays at 11:30.
That should be fine. Oh, wait, no. I don't have the car on Wednesdays. Anything else?
I have a space on Thursday afternoons at 1:30. Would that work?
Let me check my diary. We have baby group at 11, but that's over by 12. So, yes, that should work. The only thing is I can't do September 12.
The term doesn't start until the 3rd of October, so don't worry about that. Do you want me to put Cara's name down for that class?
OK, yes, thank you. Wait, I forgot to ask. What's the minimum number of classes I need to book? And do I have to pay in advance?
You need to book for a term. But you don't pay anything until Cara has had a free trial lesson. At this stage, some babies just don't take to the water. So your, or rather Cara's trial class, will be on October 6th.
Oh, I thought you said we start on the 3rd of October.
The term starts then, but that's a Monday, and you have signed up for the Thursday, so that's the 6th. If Cara likes the class, you sign up for the rest of the term. So that will be 8 lessons. Each class is £20, but you need to pay in advance for the whole term, so works out at £160. With the free class, the total is £140.
I see. And do you know many children will be in Cara's class, more or less?
Well, we have an upper limit of 6 children per class, but so far there are only 3 signed up at that time. It's lunchtime, so it's not a particularly popular slot, which means she'll get more attention. There may be 1 or 2 more kids, so possibly 4 or 5, but it's unlikely.
Will I get into the pool with the baby? I'm afraid I'm not a very good swimmer.
Well, it doesn't need to be you as a mum, though the pool is very shallow and lots of our parents are non-swimmers. If you don't fancy it, Kara's dad, a grandparent, aunt, uncle or friend could get in with her.
That's great. I can do it. Just one more thing. My parents live abroad, and I'm sure they'd love to see a video of Kara's swimming lessons. Can we film the class?
No, I'm sorry, but no photography or filming is allowed during the classes. However, once a term we have a specialist photographer visit the class, and you can buy photos of Kara from him.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2.
You will hear a man addressing the volunteers at food bank.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 20.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out so early to help at the food bank. I know there are many regulars, but today we have an exceptionally large number of new volunteers. A very warm welcome to you all, which is why I've got you all together to go over some key information. What is special about this food bank is that we don't ask for a referral. Most expect clients to be referred by a social worker, a medical practitioner, or a teacher at their child's school. Our view is that this adds an unnecessary extra step for people who are already under stress. All we do here is ask people to sign for their food parcel, and by doing so, they are confirming that they are in genuine need. Okay, so when people come in, they go to the front desk and we ask them about the members of their household. Those with children aged 16 or under are sent over to Connie's team on the right. Give us a wave, Connie. Single people, couples, and those without children, or whose children are 17 or above, are sent to Paul's team on the left. That's Paul waving at us now. So, in case you were wondering, the reason we divide our clients up like this is because we need to prioritize children. Fresh fruit and vegetables and things like yogurt and other dairy products are offered to those families first. Today, all the new volunteers will be paired up with someone more experienced so you can watch and learn. All volunteers are either assigned to Connie or Paul's teams, or they are in the back, sorting through the donations and making up the food parcels. We also need some people to update our website at the end of the session so that our donors will always know what products we're most in need of. If any newcomers are good with IT, please let me know after this briefing. Now, a few people have asked me if clients can choose what to receive. The answer is usually no, but in case of, people who don't eat certain things like vegetarians, vegans, or those who are gluten-free, or if a member of the family has an allergy, we do try to exchange any products that don't suit them. But obviously, it depends on what's left that day. So, for example, if a client has a tin of tuna and they are vegetarian, swap it for a tin of beans if you can. We encourage clients not to take any item they won't use, but most of them wouldn't anyway because they are aware that another family in need could use it. Now, before we open the doors, please remember that none of the people who come to us want to be in the situation where they need to ask for food. Most of them have lost their jobs or are too sick to work, but with the cost of living crisis, many working people rely on us too. Treat everyone with respect, and you'll find that the vast majority will be grateful. Very occasionally, we have someone who gets a bit loud or uses bad language. If you have any concerns at any time, please call either Paul, Connie or me over.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3.
You will hear discussion between a tutor and her students regarding an assignment.
First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 30.
OK, so just to clarify, the next assignment is a marketing presentation. The brief is very specific. You need to choose a product or service from your country and market it to a UK-based promotions company. So think of something you normally buy back home that you can't get here in the UK. It could be something with a design that is unique to your culture. It could be made in your country or just sold there. It should be something that would appeal to British consumers and be sufficiently different from things that are already available here. So, for example, there are already many types of soft drink available here. So if you want to introduce a soft drink, it has to stand out from others you can buy. It has to have a unique selling point, or USP.
So, do you mean it's okay to do a drink, as long as it is not the same as the others that you can buy here? So, perhaps a healthier version with less sugar or different flavours?
Yes, that's the kind of thing. But you've got to market your product in terms of the 4 Ps. Can you remember what they are, David?
Product, place, a price, and I can't remember the other one. Sorry.
Promotion.
That's right. So, what do you think you would need to cover under promotion?
I suppose that means how you would advertise it.
Well, yes, advertising is part of it. What else could it include? Mariam?
What about things like introductory discounts? Buy one, get one free. That kind of thing. Hold on, though. Wouldn't that come under price?
There is some overlap between the different parts of the marketing mix, it's true. Some of the ways you might promote your product include offering it at a lower price initially, and then once the customer gets a taste for it, to increase it to whatever price you've decided on.
You said we could market a product or a service. I'm not sure what kind of service you mean. Can you give us an example?
Yes, I agree. It's a bit trickier and most students will probably choose to focus on a product. But in the past, some students have done services. Last year, for example, there was a student from China who introduced a service to feng shui people's homes. It's a way of arranging your living or working space to be in harmony with the natural elements. It also involves reducing clutter to allow the qi or life force to flow. She offered a service to come to people's houses and advise them on where different pieces of furniture should be. It tapped into the interest people here have in all things Eastern. It's actually quite popular now.
Since I've been here, I found that British people have very different tastes from people in my country. For example, they don't really like spicy food or things which would be considered exotic. I mean, some people are vegetarian or vegan, but those who do eat meat only use a limited range of meats. I mean, they're not very adventurous. So, do you think we should play it safe and avoid things like fish head sauce, which is very popular in China, but I can't see most of my British friends appreciating?
That's a great question, David. It is all about the marketing, isn't it? You are trying to introduce something new, not give them something they already have. If you think of something they know they like, it'll be very similar to the products on the market. The aim of this presentation is to launch a new product or service to the UK market. So I'd say something British people are not used to could be successful with the right marketing.
I was thinking of making some kind of beauty product. Would that work, do you think?
It could work as long as it's different from other products here. As you know, there are all kinds of creams and lotions in the shops here. What did you have in mind?
Actually, it's more of a range of products. They have skincare products like cleansers and moisturizers, as well as products for the hair like shampoos and conditioners. It's all natural and comes in a wide variety of fragrances.
It sounds really nice, and people do buy a lot of skin and hair care products. But I don't think the promotions company will go for a whole range. It's too risky. So it would probably be better to focus on just one product. But do you think there is just one product that stands out from the other brands already available?
Well, not really. I'll have a think and come up with something else.
That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 3. Part 4.
You will hear a lecture on the conservation of reptiles.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the last lecture in our series on conservation. This time, we'll be talking about reptiles. You might not have thought much about conservation in terms of reptiles, which includes lizards, snakes, crocodiles and turtles, and there's a good reason for that. Reptiles are, generally speaking, not well represented in conservation strategies. Few people are aware that around 100 species of snake are threatened with extinction, for example. As well as the illegal pet trade, lizards are most at risk from rising temperatures globally, as it affects their ability to hunt. So, what are reptiles, and where do they live? Reptiles are cold-blooded, which means their body temperature varies with the outside environment, unlike us mammals, whose temperature remains constant. Reptiles can be found in diverse habitats. Although they prefer environments which offer both land and water, many, such as lizards, have adapted to live away from the water. They live in the tropics, as well as freshwater and oceanic habitats. People often assume that there are fewer conservation efforts concerning reptiles because they lack the cute and cuddly appeal of species with fur or feathers. This isn't necessarily true of turtles, though, who lack the scary perception of most reptiles. That may be one of the reasons that conservationists also lack data on reptile species, meaning their conservation needs are less well understood. We do, however, know that between 18 and 33% of reptile species are in danger of extinction. When it comes to turtles, this rises to 59% of the species. To put this into context, 15% of bird species are threatened with extinction, much fewer than reptiles. Like many other species, reptiles are at risk of habitat loss due to urban expansion and the rise of animal agriculture, pollution, and climate change. The biggest threat faced by reptiles, however, is from hunting, due to their value in fashion and traditional medicine. There are many reasons why we need to put more effort into the conservation of reptiles. They play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of the natural world. Many of them are top predators, controlling the population of insects and small animals that could otherwise cause havoc in the ecosystem. Reptiles also play an important role as pollinators. This means they spread the seeds of plants which sustain countless other species. One particular reason to conserve reptiles is that they represent billions of years of evolutionary history, including the ability to adapt to diverse environments. You may have heard that, in spite of there being few initiatives focusing on the conservation of reptiles, many reptile species benefit from conservation efforts that target other species, especially mammals and birds. This is true in that reptiles are most threatened in areas where other species are also threatened. However, some reptile species with small ranges, meaning they spend their entire lives within a limited area, require special interventions to survive. So what can be done specifically to help reptiles that are at risk of extinction? As with most other species, education is certainly more crucial than all the others. It can be hard to change people's perception of species they have always hunted, but we have seen many examples of conservation programs around the world that have turned lifelong hunters into protectors of endangered species. Linked to education is the need for legislation. Where species are at risk, it is crucial for governments to take action to protect them via the law, imposing harsh penalties on those who continue to kill them. I'd now like to focus on a few examples of reptiles in danger. First of all, one of the largest living reptiles and the largest predator in the Americas, the Orinoco crocodile, which is only found in the basin of the Orinoco River in Venezuela and Colombia. The species came very close to extinction in the mid-20th century as it was hunted for its skin. The Orinoco crocodile was given protected status in the 1970s, but has still not recovered, and there are only an estimated 250 to 500 individuals left in the wild. While the Colombians have introduced captive breeding programs and released baby crocs into the wild, the programs cannot be considered a complete success due to lack of funds and other issues. The second reptile species I'd like to talk about is the Madagascar big-headed turtle, which is a top priority of conservationists. As the name would suggest, this species lives only in the freshwater habitats of Madagascar, off the coast of Africa. The reason for the endangerment of this species is the huge appetite for its meat in Asia, and in spite of a ban on their export, this trade continues. The Turtle Conservation Fund is focused on protecting this important species through education programs, captive breeding, and reintroduction. The final reptile I want to discuss is one of the rarest snakes in the world, the ornate ground snake. There are thought to be less than 20 individuals left on a single island called Maria Major in St. Lucia. The reason for the endangerment of this species is the introduction of invasive species, such as mongoose, to the other islands. The species was actually declared extinct in 1936, but rediscovered in 1973, and a captive breeding program is now underway to save this critically endangered species.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 4.